Today, we're diving into a really powerful way to think about helping someone through an emotional crisis. It's all built around one single powerful idea. You as a lighthouse, guiding a ship through a massive storm. And it all starts right here, with this one drawing. Now, I know it looks simple, but this is actually a map. It's a map that shows you exactly how stress can escalate and, more importantly, how you can be that calm, steady guide to get someone through it. So how on earth does it work? Well, it's called the Lighthouse response system. And really, its whole purpose is to give you a clear framework, a set of tools, so that when someone you care about is completely overwhelmed, you can be that calm, unwavering light that helps them find their way back to safety. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about what it means to be the lighthouse. Then we'll walk through each stage of the storm, the calm shore, the first few ripples, the absolute peak of the crisis, and what happens after it's all over. And finally, we'll look at how we can learn from every single storm to make the next journey a little bit smoother. Okay, let's start with the absolute bedrock of this entire system. This is, without a doubt, the single most important rule. Everything, and I mean everything, is built on this one idea. And here it is. This whole thing only works if you are regulated first. You just can't guide a ship through a storm if your own lighthouse is getting smashed by the waves, right? You have to be the calm center in the chaos. And this slide just illustrates it perfectly. On the left, that's your goal. Calm, steady, watching with empathy. On the right, that's their reality. They're caught in the middle of a neurological storm. If you get sucked into that storm with them, well, then there's nobody left to guide the way home. So let's see how this all works. Starting at level 0, we're on the calm shore. And this isn't just about waiting around, it's about actively building up strength and connection before the waters even start to get rough. This is what it feels like to be at level 0, inside that lighthouse. You're feeling calm, your breathing is even, and you're in a place where you can be kind, supportive, and just observe what's going on with empathy instead of panic. This is your home base. So what are you actually doing here? You're building resilience. You're focusing on routines, keeping things predictable. You use this quiet time to really connect with the person, to celebrate the little wins. You're basically making that shore feel as safe and solid as possible. But, of course, the water is going to stir eventually. And that brings us to levels 1 and 2. You can think of these as the very first ripples, the early warning signs. And this, right here, is such a critical window of opportunity. Now, what's really key to see on this slide is that even though they're heading out into the water, their thinking brain is still online. They can still process what you're saying. Yeah, their nervous system is starting to fire up, but it hasn't completely hijacked the show, at least not yet. So at this stage, you might notice some restlessness, maybe some fidgeting. The goal here is simple. De-escalate without adding more fuel to the fire. So you use simple, calm language. You offer reassurance. But you have to avoid things like reminders of consequences or correcting how they're talking. This is not a teaching moment, it's a guiding moment. Okay, now we're heading into the heart of it, the storm itself. Levels 3 and 4. This is the peak of the crisis, when the waves are crashing and everything feels incredibly intense. And you have to understand, something fundamental has shifted inside their brain. Their survival brain, the most primitive part, has taken complete control. They are no longer thinking about their actions. They are simply reacting, trying to survive a perceived threat. I mean, just look at that giant wave in the picture. That's the best way to imagine the overwhelming sensory overload they're feeling. And every single behavior you see, no matter how chaotic it looks, is just a form of what the system calls extreme self-protection. So, your response has to change dramatically. Your number one job now is safety. That's it. You use as few words as humanly possible. You never, ever, ever say calm down, and you don't get into an argument. And if you feel safety is at risk, you call for help. This is about weathering the storm, not trying to fight it. And, every storm does eventually pass, but that doesn't mean it's suddenly sunny and calm. That brings us to level 5, the shutdown. See, after that immense amount of energy they just burned through, the nervous system can swing way over to the other side. It's called hypoarousal, and it can look like they're in a fog, lethargic, withdrawn, maybe even confused. Their body has basically just run out of juice. So all of this brings up a really important question, right? We've talked so much about you staying calm, about you being the lighthouse, but how does your calm actually have a physical, neurological effect on them?
And this image right here is the answer. Honestly, this simple picture of the paper boats is my favorite part of this whole system. When their chaotic, stormy waves meet your calm, steady presence, something incredible happens. It's called co-regulation.
Co-regulation? Yeah, that's the scientific term for it. But all it really means is that your calm, regulated nervous system basically lends its stability to theirs. Your calm becomes a literal anchor for them, allowing their nervous system to sync up with yours and find its way back to safety. It's amazing. All right, we are almost back to the shore, but there's one last, absolutely crucial step. It's not enough to just get through the storm. We have to learn from it, and this is all about charting future journeys. You know, after something intense, it's so tempting to just move on and forget about it. But taking just a moment to analyze what happened is how we start to see patterns. It might feel like a chore, but it's how we learn and get better prepared for the future. Because every single storm gives you data. By just logging what happened, what were the triggers, what level did things get to, what helped, what didn't, we start to create a better, more detailed map for the next time. We learn to spot the ripples earlier, and we navigate the waters more skillfully. So let's end with this. This system is more than just a crisis management tool. It's a way to build deep connection and resilience. It changes our role from someone who just reacts to the storm to someone who provides the light. So the real question is, when the next storm comes, what will your light guide?